I was having a conversation with God, and excuse me, I am draining like never before. Got cold. But anyway, I was like, I've moved around my whole life, and I know the place that I currently live, it is not where I'm supposed to stay. I was supposed to be here for a period of time, but it is not where I'm going to reside for the rest of my life. It's just a place for me to prepare for the next place. That hopefully maybe that will be my home. But anyway, sometimes when you're trying to do something, you're focusing on every small detail. And what I mean is, maybe there is a knowing in you where you want to move from the place that you are living currently, and you want to move somewhere completely different, but you're not sure exactly where that is. And I told God this. I said, I've moved from place to place to place, and I loved Florida, and I love some other places. I wouldn't say I loved some other places, but I would say my favorite place was Florida so far that I've lived at. But, certain places that I got moved to as a kid where I didn't have a choice, and even some places that I moved as an adult, it didn't make it better. I moved, but the place wasn't better. So I said, okay, if I prepare myself to move to this next place, wherever that may be, I said, I don't want to be the one to choose it, because it's just like a person. If you think about a relationship, some people will, and I don't mean this in the way that don't stay in a toxic relationship where you're unhappy, but what I mean is people are always looking for the next best thing. And, if something's not working for you currently, and you know that it's not going to work, okay, then you can look into something else that does work for you, whether it is a person that you're in a relationship with, or it's a place that you're going to live. Some things just don't work for you, and that's okay. If you're 100% sure that it's just not going to work for you, it's not for you. That's okay. But we live in a society where influencers and people that really shouldn't be worshipped tell people, I wouldn't even say they tell them, they just influence them in a way that makes them think that they ought to be looking for the next best partner, the next best house, the next best car, the next best career. And you will forever be chasing the forever next best whatever. So, in regards to my situation, I've moved my entire life. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because I got to experience different places. I got to meet different people. And so that was an opportunity I got that other people don't get, because they live somewhere their whole life, and then they have this mentality where it's like, this is the best place that ever was. People who have grown up somewhere their whole life think that, and it's like, from the outsider's perspective, we can see issues that other people can't see if they've lived there their whole life, because they're blinded to the issues in that particular place. So I appreciate the fact that I was able to move to different places and meet different people and experience different things, because I don't have this bias for different places. There's places I liked more than others, and there's some places I didn't like at all. But I was able to see the problems that other people could not see who grew up somewhere their whole life. Versus me, I could sit there and point out the positives and the negatives where they only saw the positives. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that if you live in this mentality where, whatever decision that you're making, whether it is to get in a relationship, it is to get into a career, it is to get to a specific place, doesn't mean that it's always going to be better. Some places that I moved to were worse, and I didn't know it until I got there. So I wouldn't allow other people to influence you to a specific person or decision or a place to live based off of their opinion, because they're not you, and what may work for them may not work for you. And you will end up in a mentality where you are always chasing the next best thing. And, maybe you choose to be with somebody different than who you're with. And maybe you were just going through a rough time with that person, but that person was for you. And you choose to be with somebody different that you think life's going to be easier with. And I'm not talking about you for certain are looking at somebody who's toxic, who is going to make your life miserable. I'm talking about it's just a rough period, because life is full of rough periods of times in life. I don't care who you are, it just is that way. So let's say you're making a decision to be with someone else based off of you had to experience a season with the person that you're with. You had to experience a season where you both went through a rough time, and maybe it made you feel a certain type of way. And so now you're registering that rough period of time to that person, and you have labeled your person as this problem, this this person that it would be tough to be with. And maybe that's not particularly true. Maybe they're not a toxic person. Maybe it was just a rough period of time that you had to go through with them in order to test your relationship. But now you're at the point where you're like, well, it's the next best thing now. I'm going to go ahead and trash this one so I can get with another one. And you get there, and the next person that you think is so wonderful, they're not. They come with just as many challenges and problems as the person that you were with. And maybe the person you were with, they were a rare person. Maybe they had a pure heart. Maybe they were very loyal, very kind, and you just threw them away because you felt some type of way with what you had to go through with them. And then you went and chased somebody else that you thought was so much better, and they're not loyal. They lie to you, they steal from you, they cheat on you. I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody's case, but I'm just giving you an example. People always think that what shines is gold, and that's not always true. Sometimes the best people have been through the most traumatic things in life. Some of the best people that I have ever met have been through the most traumatizing things. And what I mean by that is they're strong people. They had their weaknesses, and I saw where they needed to heal, but they were some of the most compassionate, understanding, non-judgmental people, including myself, because I've been through things. So some of the best people have been through the worst things because it built their character. You take somebody who has been spoiled their whole life, hasn't really had to go through a lot of things, hasn't had to work for a lot of things. Those are the kinds of people you don't want to know. Those are the kinds of people you don't want to be around. But basically, I'm giving an example of people, because a lot of people, they don't value people. It's like they just go from one person to the next because they're chasing the next best thing. Or, like I said, I've seen people where they just move. And not every place that you move is going to make you happier. So you really have to hone down on, is this place really for me? And I'm just in a period of time that I'm going through something, and I don't want to be here because I'm going through this one particular thing, but maybe the place does resonate with you. It's just something that you're going through is making you feel like you got to move, when really you don't. So don't always register the next best thing, the illusion of that, as actually being that, because I speak from experience. Moving to multiple states in my life, probably lived in 10 plus states in my entire life, and a lot of the moves, I mean, yeah, I did get to meet new people. I did get to go to new places. But honestly, there weren't a lot of places that I really would have wanted to spend my life. Only one in particular did I really like. And would I ever see myself settling down in? Now, I haven't been to certain other places, not to say that there wouldn't be another place that I would want to spend the rest of my life, but I know from experience living in all these states where I would want to live and where I do not want to live. What resonates with me and what does not resonate with me, but we have to trash these ideas that society is giving us that, you need to chase after the next best person, the next best place to live, the next best job, because just because it looks enticing on the outside does not mean that it is truly going to bring you happiness. So I was talking to God and I said, I've chosen all these places that I want. Well, actually I didn't get to choose every place because, when I was growing up, we moved wherever my family was going to move. But, places that I did get to choose as adulthood, I said, not every place was I happy at. If I choose the next place that I want to live and it really wasn't where I was supposed to be at, then I've wasted my time going somewhere that maybe I learned something, but it really wasn't where I was supposed to be. And I really think that people have a calling on their life and a place that they are supposed to be, and they waste a lot of years being somewhere they're not supposed to be, being with somebody they're not supposed to be with, being in a job they're not supposed to be in, because they're unaware that there is something else bigger and better there that God has for them, but they are living in an illusion that what they feel like they're choosing is better than what God has for them. And I can tell you from experience, what plan God has for you is 10 times better than what you could have planned for yourself, though it probably doesn't seem that way. If He were to sit you down and run a projector screen in front of you of what He has planned for your life, you would probably be blown away by what you thought would be better for you versus what He's got planned for you. So I told him, I said, whatever place I move to next, I need a place where I am going to prosper, I am going to be happy, where I am supposed to be, because I don't know the future. I do not know the future. I do not know what it holds, but what I do know is God knows, and He wants what's best for me. Even if I don't even understand what I need or what is best for me, He does. So wherever He tells me to go, regardless of what I experience, it's going to be for my benefit, because He's always concerned about our benefit. He is going to have us in places where maybe we're experiencing some things we don't like and it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's things that we don't particularly want to do at times, but He is always concerned about our good. So if He's concerned about my good and He has a plan that is better than anything that I could ever choose for myself, I would rather God choose the next place that I live and the people that I choose to have in my life, that the career that I have, that it would be better than anything that I could ever choose for myself. Because when we rely on what we have been indoctrinated with, when we rely on the different lies that society tells us that, what will make you happy, has it made you happy? I mean, all of us at some point have tried what society has tried to make us believe. We have tried to do or be or live like they've told us to live. Did it bring you long-term happiness? Probably not. If people are being honest, it probably did not. So I would rather put my own wishes aside and say, okay, God, you know my future. You know what's going to end well for me. You know what the better position is. You have a plan that's better than my plan because you know the future. I don't. So let's try giving you a shot and see what you can do with my life. And let's go from there, because at least my ending would be better than anything that I could have for myself. So instead of relying on society to tell you what's going to make you happy, God gives us an intuition, which is our individualistic separation from society that tells us what actually is right for us and what's not, but we ignore it. So I would rather God tell me where to move to next and what to be a part of and where to go, so that I can be at the right place at the right time with the right people, and my ending will be way better than anything that I could have chosen for myself, than to listen to society telling me, well, you need to look for the next best person, the next best job, the next best whatever. You're just going to endlessly be driving yourself crazy and have zero peace chasing a person or a job or a place to live that does not bring you happiness, and you will make yourself miserable, and God's just going to let you wear yourself out until you are like, you know what, I give up. You take over, you take the driver's seat. You tell me where I need to move. You tell me who needs to be in my life. You tell me what is going to end well for me. And He will do a 360 to your life and make it so much better when you release control and you release these lies of society telling you what's going to make you happy that really won't. It's going to end way better. You're going to end up in a career way better. You're going to have way better people in your life. You are going to elevate, not decline. Society, if you go by what they tell you to do, you will end up declining in your mental health, in your physical health, in your emotional health, in your finances. You'll just decline because they don't have the answers. Though they're so grandiose about trying to give you answers, they don't have it. They just want to tell you things that are going to bring you a temporary dopamine hit to the brain that is not going to bring you long-term satisfaction. God is more concerned about your long-term longevity, health, need, happiness, purpose. He is not concerned with what is going to satisfy you in the moment. He will put you in situations where you are uncomfortable and maybe you are outside of your comfort zone and it is non-desirable. But the longer time goes on, things will make sense why you had to go through what you did, why you had to experience what you did, why you had to endure what you did, in order to get to the happiness, the long-term happiness, His long-term purpose He has for your life, that is going to bring you a lot of happiness, a lot of peace. You're not going to be living hanging on the words of society that all they're concerned about is instant gratification and short-term dopamine highs. God is not interested in that. He would rather you go through a rough period of time and mold you into the person you need to be, to send you exactly where you need to live and go and people to be around and the career you're supposed to be in, so that you are prepared to be the person you're supposed to be, to go where you're supposed to go, so that in the end you're going to find your happiness. But you're going to have to experience the upfront discomfort. It's like, anybody who's ever had to go into a career and they had to go into training, it's uncomfortable to go through 4 years of freaking school. It's uncomfortable to go through basic training in order to get into the military. It's uncomfortable up front. But on the inside, once you're done with all that, you get the reward. So the people from the military, all the basic training and all the training they went through, they get the reward because they get promotions and they get in positions they actually want to be in. But up front, it's uncomfortable for them. Just like a student, a college student, it's uncomfortable to go through however many years of school it is. But if they're really desiring to go into the field that they're going to go in, over a period of time, once they get into that field and they can work in that field and they can get promoted, see, they have to go through the upfront uncomfortability, and then later on they get to experience the pleasure. But society will tell you, have pleasure now. It's temporary. It's not long term. God will put you through temporary discomfort to have long-term happiness. So it's the opposite of what society's telling you. Society says, be happy now, but then you're going to have long-term discomfort. God says, be unhappy right now and be uncomfortable, but in the end, you're going to be happy. Which would you rather have? Because if it were me, I'd rather go through this discomfort up front, but to have long-term happiness than to have dopamine highs and be unhappy all my life. What would you rather have?